How do you do? How do you feel today?
I'm fine. We are facing a beautiful day here. It's getting warm and our nights are cold. So I'm not breathing very well. Uh, I'm suffering with this shift, but it is beautiful and it is fine. And how do you do it?
We better. There's a heat wave at the moment with the air quality is not that good, so everything is a bit slow. You have to stop all the time because it's so hot and the load
No?
is great. Yes. It's it's suddenly you get a notion of different time because when it's cold you just um, do actions and concise and fix and direct, and in the heat you have such an expansion and it's so different. You have a different sense of time when it's so hot.
Yes. We are facing all the temperatures at the same time here as well. So it is we do not know what to expect. Let's say in these
What to
terms.
expect, what to wear, how it is outside. Yes.
Yes, yes,
It's so
exactly.
funny. So, so did
Mhm.
you have this experience, Fernando, trying to pick an apple? Yes.
Yes, the image is just beautiful. I never thought about it. But just to add one thing, Eti, that I was talking with Rodrigo
Mhm.
on Saturday, and and he brought the image of the fruits of a tree as well. So just to point that we were talking about this, because we were talking about like the merit, the the will of man, to make great things, to achieve things and to produce, to be worth to be seen by God, let's say. You know this kind of speech, let's say. And and Rodrigo said about the trees, like the tree bring fruits uh, because its own nature. It's the nature of the tree to bring forth fruits, from
Yes.
the tree that bring forth fruits.
Yes.
It doesn't have anything to do with hard work or merit or anything, But of course, if someone take care just a little bit, it can get better, but it doesn't have a correlation with this merit,
Yes. So the question is, why does man, yes, the tree, when the time is right and the fruit is ready, either someone picks the fruit from the tree or the fruit is heavy and gravitation takes it. But why in our lives as human, when time comes and the seasons are changing, we're struggling. Yes, we're struggling with what there is when it's the time of the fruit to be picked. We're struggling, we're keeping everything. Good morning, Jill. We are very happy to see you here. There was a question that we asked. Fernando, can you ask the question when Jill is here? The question that we asked, please.
Shalom, Jill. Good to see you. And it brought a beautiful image. The question is something like this: did you ever face a tree that brought his fruit on time, but when someone is going to pick up this fruit, the tree struggles to let it go, like forcing to keep this fruit? Did you ever experience such an event? This was the question.
Thank you, Fernando. Yes, the question is very, very simple. If you once face a tree, orange tree, apple tree, avocado tree, that when you wanted to pick up the avocado or the orange, or even, let's say, it's not a tree, it's grapes. If you try to pick up the fruit, suddenly the tree is struggling with you and tell you, no, you cannot pick this fruit. This is mine. Have you faced such a situation before, Jill? That the tree says, no, this is my fruit. Yes, yes, yes. But when it is interesting, because we say there's a saying that a man is like the tree of the field, and the trees, they give the fruit in time to come, season. And when the time comes, either the tree dispose the fruit, or people picking up the fruit, or animals when they move around. This is life, what life is about. But when people or humans, yes, are like trees, but when time comes and there's like movement in time, seemingly there's a movement, they say, this is mine. This is mine. And this is the suffering from proclaiming that this is mine, not from the movement. Because if the tree, let's say nature, the tree, either we pick the fruits, the animals, they eat it, or humans, or gravity finally picks it. It relieves the tree from the burden of carrying the fruit, clean up the weight, and the next year or the next season, usually, there's enough space because the tree already gave the fruit, or was sent out from fruit. So there is again a space on the tree, and the next season or the next year, there will be space for the new fruits to appear, to come, to dwell on the tree. This is how nature is. But what happens to humans? Fernando, can you describe what happens to us every year, every season?
Usually we have difficulty to let things go, right? Or
Yes,
or even worse, we could give good fruits to the world, let's say, but
yes,
keep it till it get rotten, right?
yes, yes. The tree is just a tree, and what happens on the tree, whether it's lemon or orange or avocado, it just gives the fruit at the time people are eating it, or nature take care of it, and there's a space, and the next season will come again with a new fruit. But we humans, we are very different than the tree. The tree never claims that the fruit is his and happy to dispose it to ease the burden, the weight. But we all the time are claiming that what there is around us is belonging to us, and we're struggling to relieve it or set it free, or to remove it, or to take it out of the house to relieve the tension, or to evacuate more space for new life to come. Yes? In the same manner, look at the sheep. Sheep, yes? Around June here, North Hemisphere, this is high summer. This is the time of shearing the sheep, to ease that she's carrying this wool around her, and it's really heavy and hot in the summer. So there is a shearing of the wool that she is carrying. So what happens is, when there's a shearing, is to remove the burden from her, to let her breathe in this hot day. It's very hot. And people learn to use this wool, let's say in the winter, to, let's say, to perfect this wool, to make threads from it and to knit and to make blankets and sweaters and so on. So this is what happens in nature. The sheep does not claim this is my wool. She does not. Also the cow, people coming and milking, good morning Cindy, good afternoon Abigail. There's an error at the moment. So the the sheep never claims in the summer that this is my wool, you're sharing my wool. The avocado tree never claims this is my avocado, you're picking my fruit. And so the cow does not say anything when she's milked a couple of times per day. But this is my pencil, this is my pen, this is my bag, this is my car. And if someone is scratching my car, and so on. Happy to see you here. Good morning. It's so funny. And with this attachment to this is mine, whatever it is, property, ideas, friends, neighbors, and with this attachment of calling it mine comes the suffering because nothing is ours, also ourselves. It's quite simple. It is quite simple. So there is no need to attach to things and to send them away, to take them after season when there's no need to evacuate a bit. It's all those, how do you say, statements. Yes, this is my saying, and just cause suffering and attachment because there isn't anything that it is ours. Nothing. There's just life which is happening. It's quite simple. And I shall be happy to hear you. If you have something to share, you're most welcome. If you have a song, a story, a book that you have been reading recently, we shall be delighted. Yes, G.
Hello.
Hello,
I
good
do
morning.
I do have a story about the pear tree.
Yes.
So when me and my sister were little, then we had a pear tree in our yard. And so we were too little, so we would just try to get the fruit that was like the limbs were hanging low, which was rare. And so, yeah, you couldn't pull them off. We weren't strong enough. But then when they finally would be ready to drop, my parents, they would go and they could pick pieces of fruit off. But then there would fall, or there would be so many pears that there was no way to take them all inside. So we would just be able to share them with everybody.
Yes. So
Yes.
beautiful. It is so beautiful.
Yeah.
There's enough for all.
There
Yeah.
was plenty.
Yeah. Once I saw how much one tree, how mango tree gives so many fruit in one season. When I saw this on the ground, when they pick it, it was impossible. And when people are just picking the fruit, they ease the burden from the tree, and the next year the tree will give again fruit. And we don't have this trust. Yes, we always want to keep something very hard. If I save it in the dark, if it is mine, and like Fernando said, it's gonna, it's gonna be under the dust or maybe rotten, but no sharing. This is so unlikely to nature because this is what nature does. It just sends things out to the appearance. They appear, the fruit or whatever needs to appear. And there's another appearance and this appearance. There's nothing which is really lacking. So just looking at nature that every year The sheep, they give the wool, and the cow every morning, a few times per day, the cow gives it. It is her milk also. Everything is being lived all the time. It is only the capability of thinking that stops everything and frame everything and conceptualizes everything and fences everything, and this in a way puts borders and say this is mine, this is his, and so well actually it's not happening. It's not happening. Questions, Cindy, Abigail, Jill, Fernando, there you go. Questions that you'd like to ask? So let's go to basic. There's just life. Just this is life. And the, let's say, the tendency or the need to frame life is a mechanical happening. Yes? The tendency to grasp, to define life is a mechanical happening. And this mechanical happening, in a way, borders us. Yes? Differentiate us from the world, but it's mechanical. And in a way, the Bible story or the biblical story already introduces this mechanical happening using the story or, yes, the happening of the serpent. Yes, the serpent is in a way the beautiful image that portrays us or introduces us to the fact that everything can be conceived. Everything can be conceived. This is the representation of the serpent. We can look and look at the, let's say, Egyptian culture, and we can see that the Pharaoh king in Egypt used to have like kind of a throne, let's call it, and used to have a snake upon it. If you look at pictures or archaeological finding, the Egyptian kings used to have like kind of a head, or not a throne, but a crown head with a snake on it, serpent. So, and this is their god. What does it mean? That everything can be conceptualized. This is the god of the Egyptian. Everything can be conceived. And there we have it, in a way, the separation. There's a concept and there's the one who conceives the concept. Also, now in our life, there are like boards meeting, there is, let's say, companies. I don't want to mention the names of the companies, but each company, regardless of what they do, they have a concept. Yes, this computer company has this concept of how they want to create a software. I don't want to mention names, yes? But each company has their concept, how they turn to the world, how they turn to the market, how they deal with customers. This is a concept. Or let's say there's a fashion company, they have concept of what the fashion is in this season, in the next season, and so on, how to produce it, how to market it, how to turn to customer. This is a concept. And what happens to us whenever and it happens all the time, not that we decide to do it. This is whenever we are coming across all kinds of things, there's always the struggle, the concept that is being introduced to us and what the brain is processing and try to capture it and to be in front of it or tackle it or in a way to eat the bait. But it doesn't matter. This is just a concept. People take it really hard because they think this is, and people have like struggles. This is computer company is ta 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 ta, and the other one is ta 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 ta. But those are concepts basically. So there's no need to go to those artificial arguments about companies, about the policies, and this is only a concept. Questions? There's also a concept when people of the world, there is a concept that we are being born, or there is a birth, and there is a death at some point. But this is only a concept because this is never happens in a way. Yes? What is the concept? Who would like to describe the concept of birth and death? Who would like to describe? It's just a concept because the senses, they can see a baby body, and once they can see a baby body, people calling the appearance as birth. And when there's the soul, so to speak, is leaving, people call it death. Why do we say that birth and death are just concepts? Who would like to open it? Why do we say that birth and death are just concepts? How can we say such a thing? How? Is it right? In the last conversation, yes, Jill. Okay, so Michelle, happy to hear you. Also, Cindy, you can unmute and speak freely.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I know we talked about it before, um, that the birth and the death as a concept, because it's okay. Let me think this through in my head. Because consciousness was here before the baby is even conceived and born,
Yes,
right? And
yes,
so it's just something that's temporary inside of this time and space that we're in right now. So yeah, it would have to be a concept because it's something like a Tyler or a process that man gave maybe an explanation to.
yes. Very well. Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Cindy, would you like to speak? If consciousness, let's say consciousness is all there is, Why to be afraid? Why to suffer? Why to limit anything? Why to stop? Why to lag behind? There is no enemy. There is no front that we have to struggle, like this example with a tree, that when time is coming anyway, this is what is happening according to life, let's say. So there is no need to struggle, to fight. Because all the struggles or the fronts that we feel that we are fighting is the only thing that in a way generates them is the prime presumption that there is a world and we are standing against the world. But since we are not against the world, there isn't such a thing, the world and me, or the world and I. There isn't. Once we release this assumption, so there is no need to struggle. What there is, there is. So it is a sunny day, it's a rainy day. It's what there is. It's what there is. It is mostly that the struggles are coming from trying to break other concepts. But it's just, this is another concept. Just to leave it, just to drop this thing that there is even a concept. Yes. Please pay attention to the conversation of the snake or serpent with Eve. There is a conversation, so to speak, between them, and immediately there's like appearance in time, and there's a claiming of the appearance in time. I bought a man, this is mine, this is the concept, the conceivement of the concept, and somebody's being conceived. Please pay attention to this triangle, because in many laws we find, in also very much in Luria's writing, that Eve, yes, was conceived by the serpent. Yes, in many laws. In many laws, we find that Eve was conceived by a serpent. Have you heard this law before? Yes, that Cain is a consequence. No, Jill, no. That Cain is a consequence, yes, of Eve being conceived from the serpent. Have you read, read about it? You never ran into this triangle, the serpent, Eve and Cain? Very well, Fernando, maybe you'd like to speak about it.
Hello, Eti.
Hello.
Just to add this idea, I just remember that in the book of Zohar, in one of the laws, the sages speaks that this story is portrayed like this: that when Adam and Eve were knowing each other, were having a relationship, it seems that the seed of the serpent, but I cannot remember the Hebrew word for it. It is like the zuma, the like the seed of the
Yeah, Zoama, the feels,
Yeah,
Zoama. Yeah, very well
Zoama.
you remember,
Okay.
Fernando, very well.
So yeah,
Yeah,
it's not my, but okay, I just remember this that in that moment the Zoama of the serpent uh, give, let's say, origin to Cain, and the seed of man, the Zoama of man, give origin to Abel. Only this idea.
very well, very well. Thank you, Fernando. So, in very well, in certain, let's say, laws, we find that a serpent came on Eve, or like Fernando mentioned from the book of Zohar. What does it mean? Because the Bible does not speak about people. It's basically Eve, once we explained it in a mathematical way, that Eve is 19, this is, so to speak, the time. What does it mean that serpent came on Eve if Eve equals time? And the serpent is what offering all the time? Conception, meaning time can be conceived. Time is a concept. This is what it means when the serpent came on Eve. I can understand, I can conceive everything the time, yes, is bringing with it the matrix of time. I can digest everything. And there comes Cain. Again, not as a baby child, but as cognition. Cognition says this is a mental process that happens in this automatic process of the brain. Cognition says, cognition is kind, again, not as a baby human, as a puppet, but cognition, the mental ability of the brain says, I can understand everything, I can explain everything. The totality, yes, this is kind or cognition. Yes, very well. I can understand everything. This is kind. The cognition says. And this is what the sages they mean in the laws, because people say, what happened? It's not about Eve as a lady and the serpent as animal, but the serpent is a concept. And this is what the serpent offers. I can process, digest, calculate everything. And the consequence of this marriage between, or this mating between time and concept, is a cognition. Cognition says, this is the temptation that all of, it's not a temptation, but this is, I don't think the temptation is a good word, but this is what happens all the time. It's a mechanical mental process that always suggests us that we can understand, follow, perceive everything, and it's not. And it's not. Therefore comes the first killing. The first killing is of Cain killing Abel. Abel is being. So if we don't think, again, if we don't take it as two brothers like baby brothers that growing, let's say, just what does it mean that the cognition kills the being? Someone sits, look at a tree, not even thinking, just being, inhaling, exhaling. Immediately comes a thought, the cognition, hey, Why are you sitting here looking at the apple tree? Why are you so lazy? In this time you could do A, B, C, D. Yes? This is it. This is the cognition. This is the mental process. Someone sits in peace, and it's not that comes inspector from work and what do you do here, guys, drinking coffee instead of being in the office. So there's no external inside. What are you doing here? You should gain, like Fernando mentioned in the beginning, merits, effort. You should achieve. Ta, 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 ta. What are you doing here? Just what? Gazing at a tree. And without someone external will tell it, this is happening in the brain. And this is the first killing. The killing before it happens in a way outside, when another person, let's say, killing another person, it happens inside. It's just killing of the being, just being, not doing anything. Questions? Just example from what is happening here. There's a heat wave at the moment, and everything is just expanding. The heat is, and usually there's like certain activities that are happening in the morning, but now it is what it is, and the relation to movement is different. And immediately when there's something in a way just different, and you see it, and you cannot like act in the same temperature when there isn't a heat wave, it's different. Comes this thought, you should have tack, 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 tack. But it's not happening because it's different. But it's mechanical. So last session, Abigail mentioned Weinreb as relating to the serpent as the process in time. And this is it. In this time, says the serpent inside, this is how it goes, the cognition. In this time, you could do A, B, C, D. You could see progress. You could see process. This is it. This is again, not a temptation. I would not call it but this is how it is going all the time. Always a duality. You could take the other train. If you would have taken the other train, you would not standing now in a traffic jam. Always the other, always beating. Questions? We are not that different because the tendency, let's say, of young children is to capture themselves as different, as unique, with names, with addresses, and so on. And it brings a lot of suffering. But we are not that special, and we are not that different. And the names that, in a way, around us, it's just, let's say, from the state perspective of the orders of things, there is like agreement upon names and addresses, but there isn't a corporal body of life which is attached to the name. This is only a concept. This is only a concept because every moment, every second, there is a creation happening. Every moment, with every breath, creation is happening. And there isn't historical me. There is not historical figure. There isn't. There's only emptiness inside. And there is no need to have the sense of I'm carrying a heavy load around me. There isn't a story of my life. There isn't the happenings and chronicles, like they call it. There isn't. Dispose it. Because everything that you will tell yourself, or we are telling ourselves about us or others, is what? Just a concept. Yes? So it's quite simple. We can be happy because all the rest is just concept. Children, they don't have the sense so much of concept, so they can act in the moment, they happy in the moment, or they sad in the moment. They don't have a sense of present something. I have to show something. I have to create an image. They fall, they cry. The next moment they pet a puppy, they're happy. And so we don't need to present anything. We don't need to become someone or something, because it's not of becoming. This is only being. This is only being. All the rest is just concept. Questions? The correction. Yes, Jill. Yes.
Okay, so a thought and a concept, would they be considered the same?
Again?
Or would a thought and a concept, would they be the same, or is it like a thought before the
A
concept?
I did not hear. A birth, you said?
A thought and a concept,
A
would they
birth.
be one and the same? A thought?
A
Like,
thought
yeah.
and a concept.
hmm
Yes. 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 Yes.
And so then the human brain would be the one that was bringing forth the concepts, right?
Yes. Yes. This is why, yes, this is why Pharaoh, yes, Pharaoh, it's funny. Pharaoh, the gematria of Pharaoh is the same gematria as value as a thought in Hebrew, 355. Yes. 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 A thought is a concept. Yes.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. Yes. There's a beautiful description in the book of Thomas Mann, Joseph and his brothers, between Jacob and Joseph. Before Joseph finds himself in Egypt, they're sitting many nights, and Jacob is the one who sits during the whole night with guests in his tent, and they speak in length about life. And in his tent, many different people are being hosted from different, let's say, regions, philosophies. Thomas Mann describes them very, very beautifully. How they walk, how they talk, how do they communicate, how Jacob sees them inside of himself. And though he has a perception so much with whom he speaks, he continues to speak with the guests, though they have, in a way, different, let's say, views. And during all of those nights that he speaks with the guests, Joseph is attending, just silently listening. And he always listens to Jacob and hears from him this all the time, that how Egypt in a way is dangerous. Yes, how Egypt is a very dark place. And you can read in Thomas Mann descriptions, there's a very poetic descriptions about darkness, how darkness it is in Egypt, like a painting almost. And we tend to think of Egypt as a geographical space or place after the, let's say, after you cross the desert, Sinai Desert, and so. But what Jacob tries to say, how it is dark, not just Egypt as a geographical place, how dark is the salt, how dark it is even to try to conceptualize something. To conceive something. This is dark. He calls it the underworld in his conversations at night with the guests. And Joseph is listening, and Joseph, night by night, bit by bit, he catches how dangerous it is. Not just as a, let's say, when people say don't go to this neighborhood, there's like robbers and thieves and murderers. It's not like that, because this is the tendency to catch Egypt like as a dark neighborhood when the crime is happening on the street. And but if you read it very deeply, what he says, it is dark to try to conceive the inconceivable. And his comment, now we're moving in the book like few chapters of few volumes, because the book is divided to 4 volumes. When finally Jacob meets Joseph in Egypt after all this happening, and Joseph is dressed in a very different way than they used to be dressed in the land of Canaan, very, very different. He's wearing a wig. Joseph, he has a makeup, and there's a beautiful description of Thomas Mann, how people in Egypt appeared. And now we're speaking about the appearance of Joseph in Egypt as a minister of Pharaoh after he crossed those very, very hard years in jail and so as a slave. But finally, when Jacob met Joseph, he doesn't recognize him, because the brothers already go in front to meet, to soften the moment, yes, of the meeting after so many years. the brothers, they go in front and they tell slowly, Jacob, here, the one that you see there, this is Joseph. But the recognition to, and finally there's approach, and he doesn't get it. I mean, according to Thomas Mann, this is very beautiful, because finally when Jacob sees Joseph, he just says, but in the land of Canaan, people dress differently. And Joseph is there again with his wig, with his fashion, with his makeup, coloring the eyes in blue. And so there's a beautiful description, because in Egypt there's the first, in a way, and it's very deep, because in Egypt we find the first concepts. The people can conceive everything: medicine, mathematics, the snake is the god. And they have a lot of, they pay in the story, yes, there's a lot of attention about appearance, that appearance is most important, and it has to be conceived or to appear in a very, very specific way. And if someone does not appear in a very specific way, ta 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 ta. And the same pattern of thinking there's like in a modern thinking. Things should appear as A, B, C, D. If something appears not A, B, C, D, it's wrong. It has to be abducted. People have to be killed, and so on. It goes very, very far. How dangerous it is that we can conceive everything in the thought. Any questions? So with this beautiful participation, I would like to thank each and every one of you for being here with us today. Wishing you a beautiful day, wonderful season, wonderful week, and see you as soon as possible. Toda and shalom.